Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes of Wellbeing with Vasilis on Mental Wellness TV. We're genuinely delighted you've chosen to spend this time with us today, focusing on your mental wellness journey. Our topic is crucial for nurturing healthy connections, relationships, how to manage conflict without destroying communication. We'll unpack practical solutions and strategies you can apply immediately for better mental well-being, transforming clashes into opportunities for deeper connection. Conflict isn't a sign of failure, it's an inevitable part of any meaningful relationship. Think about it, research suggests couples experience minor disagreements roughly 1 to 3 times per week on average, while studies in organizational psychology indicate that a staggering 85% of employees globally face some form of workplace conflict. The critical factor isn't the presence of conflict, but rather how we navigate it. When handled poorly, conflict becomes toxic. Unresolved arguments trigger our stress response, flooding our bodies with cortisol. Chronically elevated cortisol weakens the immune system, disrupts sleep, fuels anxiety, and can even contribute to depression. It erodes trust and shuts down communication channels. Conversely, conflict navigated constructively can strengthen bonds, build resilience, and enhance mutual understanding. The goal, therefore, isn't avoidance but mastering the art of constructive conflict management, protecting both our relationships and our mental health. So, how do we engage in conflict without burning bridges? Here are powerful, research-backed strategies designed to preserve and even enhance communication. Master the pause, breathe, reflect technique. When you feel the heat rising, that flush of anger, defensiveness, or overwhelming frustration, pause the conversation immediately. Don't try to power through. Take 3 slow, deep diaphragmatic breaths. This isn't cliché, it's neuroscience. Deep breathing directly signals your vagus nerve to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering your heart rate and blood pressure, and dialing down the amygdala's fight-or-flight alarm. Reflect, ask yourself silently, what core emotion am I feeling right now? Hurt, fear, disrespected? What underlying need isn't being met? Safety, respect, connection? What might my partner/person be feeling or needing? This brief interruption allows your prefrontal cortex, the rational, problem-solving part of your brain, to come back online, enabling calmer, more constructive dialogue instead of reactive attacks. Simply say, I need a moment to gather my thoughts, can we pause for a minute? Harness the power of I statements. Replace accusatory, you, language, you always interrupt me. You never listen, with statements that own your feelings and perceptions. The formula is simple, I feel, specific emotion, when, specific behavior/situation, happens because, unmet need/impact. For example, I feel hurt and unheard when I'm interrupted while sharing something important, because I need to feel respected and valued in our conversations. Why does this work? You statements instantly put the other person on the defensive. I statements, however, focus on your internal experience, making it harder for the other person to argue with your feelings. They foster empathy rather than resistance. Studies published in the Journal of Family Psychology consistently show that couples who effectively use I statements report significantly higher relationship satisfaction, up to 40% higher in some studies, and experience less escalation during disagreements. Practice validation, the bridge builder. Before diving into your perspective or defense, validate the other person's feelings. This doesn't mean you agree with their viewpoint or actions, it means acknowledging their emotional reality. Say things like, I can see you're feeling really frustrated about this, or, it makes sense that you'd be upset if you felt ignored. Validation is powerful because it signals, I see you. I hear you. Your feelings matter to me, even if we disagree. Brain imaging studies show that validation literally calms the threat response in the brain, reducing amygdala activity, making the other person much more receptive to hearing your side. It de-escalates tension and keeps the communication channel open. It transforms the interaction from adversaries to collaborators trying to understand each other. Implement scheduled conflict time, the container trying to resolve heated issues when exhausted, rushed, or distracted is a recipe for disaster. Agree with your partner, colleague, or family member on a strategy. When a conflict arises or an issue feels too big to handle casually, either person can call for a scheduled talk. Agree on a specific time, within 24 hours, ideally, when you'll both be calm, rested, and free from distractions. Set a timer for 15 to 25 minutes. Knowing there's a defined, safe container for the discussion reduces overwhelm and anxiety. It prevents conflicts from hijacking entire evenings and creates psychological safety. Crucially, if the timer goes off and the issue isn't resolved, schedule another session. Research from institutions like UC Berkeley links this structured approach to significant reductions in relationship distress and even symptoms of depression associated with chronic unresolved conflict. Establish repair rituals. Conflict creates ruptures. Repair rituals are intentional actions to mend those ruptures after a disagreement, even if it's not fully resolved. This could be a simple hug, holding hands for a few minutes, making a cup of tea for each other, going for a short walk together in silence initially, or saying a specific phrase like, "We're okay. I care about us." These rituals trigger the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which counteracts stress hormones and fosters feelings of safety and connection. They signal that the relationship itself is bigger and more important than the disagreement. Consistently repairing ruptures builds immense trust and resilience over time. Knowing the strategies is one thing, integrating them into your daily life is where real transformation happens. Here's how to put these into immediate, practical action starting today. Morning check-in. Prevention. Dedicate 5 minutes over breakfast or coffee. Each person shares one appreciation for the other. I really appreciated you making coffee this morning, and one potential concern or need. I'm feeling a bit stressed about my meeting later. I might need some quiet time this evening. This proactive sharing prevents small irritations from festering into big conflicts. The 2-minute rule. De-escalation in the moment. If a conflict sparks unexpectedly in the middle of cooking, working, or another task, invoke the rule, "This feels important. Can we pause this and come back to it in 2 minutes when I can give you my full attention?" Use those 2 minutes to practice your deep breathing and ground yourself. This stops reactive spirals. Emotion and AMP. Trigger journaling. Self-awareness. Spend 5 minutes each evening jotting down moments of tension or conflict during the day. Note, what triggered you? What emotion surfaced? What need felt threatened? What strategy did you use, or wish you had used? This builds profound self-awareness, helping you identify personal patterns, e.g., I get defensive when I feel criticized before breakfast. Digital communication boundaries. Clarity. Establish a firm rule. No conflict resolution via text, email, or messaging apps. These mediums lack tone, facial expressions, and body language, leading to a roughly 80% higher chance of misinterpretation, as highlighted by Stanford research on digital communication. If a conflict emerges digitally, acknowledge it briefly and say, "This feels important to discuss properly. Can we talk about it?" Suggest a time. Weekly. Temperature check. Maintenance. Once a week, perhaps on a Sunday evening, take 10 minutes together. Rate the overall relationship harmony or team vibe this past week on a scale of 1 to 10. If the score is below a 6 for either of you, use your scheduled conflict time technique to explore why gently, focusing on feelings and needs using I statements and validation. The effectiveness of these strategies isn't just anecdotal, it's grounded in robust science. Dr. John Gottman's decades of research with thousands of couples identified the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, as highly predictive of relationship breakdown. Techniques like using I statements directly counteract criticism, while validation and repair rituals combat contempt and stonewalling. Defensiveness melts away when met with validation rather than counterattacks. Gottman also discovered the magic ratio. Stable relationships maintain at least a 5-to-1 ratio of positive interactions, smiles, touches, appreciations, agreements, to negative ones, criticisms, disagreements, during conflict. This buffer protects the relationship bond from the erosive effects of negativity. Harvard longitudinal studies spanning decades confirm that this ratio is a powerful predictor of relationship longevity and satisfaction. Furthermore, Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication (NVC) model, upon which the I statement and needs identification core is built, has been shown in numerous studies to reduce aggression and increase empathy and cooperation in diverse settings, from marriages to war zones. Functional MRI, fMRI, studies reveal that practicing NVC techniques activates brain regions associated with empathy, like the anterior insula and anterior cingulate cortex, and reduces activity in areas linked to threat perception. Understanding the physiological impact of conflict, cortisol spikes, and repair, oxytocin release, further underscores why these methods aren't just nice ideas but essential tools for mental and relational well-being. Remember this: navigating conflict constructively is a profound act of self-care and relationship care. It builds psychological safety, the bedrock of trust and intimacy. Every time you choose to pause instead of react, validate instead of dismiss, and repair instead of retreat, you strengthen your emotional resilience and the health of your connection. Your mental well-being thrives when communication channels remain open and respectful. Embrace imperfection. Misunderstandings happen. Prioritize self-compassion throughout this process. Choosing to understand and be understood, even amidst disagreement, is a sign of strength, emotional maturity, and deep commitment to well-being. You are actively building healthier neural pathways and relationship patterns with every conscious effort. Here concludes today's presentation on managing conflict without destroying communication. We sincerely hope you found these strategies practical and empowering. We actively encourage you, our valued viewers, to send us the topics you want us to explore in future episodes. What relationship challenges, mental wellness questions, or self-care strategies are on your mind? Share them with us. Your input will directly shape the content of upcoming 5 Minutes of Well-being episodes. We are committed to covering the themes that matter most to you. If today's discussion resonated and you'd like to delve deeper into building communication skills, understanding emotional triggers, or exploring specific conflict resolution models, we warmly invite you to visit our website. If you'd like to take it a step deeper, feel free to explore our dedicated collections on relationship wellness, communication toolkits, and science-backed mental health practices at mentalwellnesstv.com. You'll find articles, exercises, recommended reading, and further resources curated by our team of experts. We are truly so glad you joined us today. Thank you for investing these minutes in your well-being and the health of your relationships. Keep nurturing your mind and your connections, one mindful pause, one validating word, one compassionate repair at a time. The journey to well-being is built moment by moment, and we're honored to be part of yours. Take care.